June 7. Time to continue story time. I just wanted to go over real quick. This age is kind of like a personality development and money, and then the older ages are more of the cooking and more personality development. But this, most of the cooking happens over here. So if you want to listen to the cooking stories, I would say those are the interesting ones. But these are pretty impressive. Like this Diablo one I'm going to talk about. That one's a fun story. I always tell these stories to my staff and customers and whatever because they bring up a certain, they talk about something and it leads me to tell them the story, and it connects very well to the question that they ask. Anyways, so the first stock I ever invested in was Blizzard, ATVI. And the reason I invested in Blizzard was because when I was like, I forget how old I was, but I was like 10 or 11 or something, and Diablo 2 existed, and I wasn't old enough to buy it. So I had to go with my parents to Best Buy or something, and they had to buy it for me. Anyways, I played that and I loved it. And that was after like Neopets, and I played Maple Story. I actually played Maple Story from when I was very young to up until I was like 20-ish, I would say. But on and off. But Diablo 2, that's when I first played it, I was like, I love this game and all that stuff. I'm actually playing Diablo Immortal right now. But yeah, I love the game. And Warren Buffett said something about picking stocks, where you pick stocks of companies that do something for yourself, like they have something to do with your life. And I subconsciously pick stocks that way from when I was young. So this was my first stock I sold. I told my mom I wanted to buy this stock. I wanted to get into stocks for some reason. I don't remember why. But when you're young, whenever you get like birthday money or Chinese New Year's money, and you get the money, but then you end up giving it to your parents, and then they say, oh, we'll put it in the bank for you. So when you get money, it doesn't actually mean you get to spend any of it. It just means you get it so I can save it for you. And by that time, I probably didn't have that much, but like even when you're a baby, your relatives give you money on Chinese New Year's and that kind of stuff. So I guess I built up maybe like 1,000 or 2,000 in the bank, and then I told my mom I wanted to buy this stock, and I did. So all of my money got dumped into Activision, ATVI, at I think $12 or $13 a share price, and savings. So yeah, dumped it all in there because I heard that Diablo 3 was gonna come out. That's why I wanted to buy it, because I played Diablo 2 and it was amazing. And yeah, that's that. So I think like the year after, something, Hearthstone came out, and it caused the stock to go from 13 a share up to $26 a share. And I essentially doubled my money, and it wasn't even for the purpose that I wanted to buy the stock for, which was Diablo 3. But then Diablo 3 eventually came out, and then the stock went up to I think $42 a share. So I like tripled my money at that point. I eventually sold at 80-ish, $82, but that's later on down here in the Amazon part of the story. But yeah, I bought at 13, and then every time I got more birthday money or something, it would just go into Blizzard. So every time I got more money, just dump it in blindly. That's a way I recommend people invest now for less experienced people. Instead of trying to time it, just every time you get a certain amount of money, just buy blindly. Because if the share price is low, you get more shares per your 2-week period. If it's high, you get less shares. So it kind of balances itself out. When when the price is low, you get more. When the price is high, you get less. I don't really have to talk about being bad at soccer, but uh, when I played soccer, I wasn't very good at it because I was fat and slow. But I did kick very hard, so that's why they always put me as a goalie or a sweeper, because when you're playing in the little kids soccer thing, uh, accuracy is not the goal. It's just keep the ball on the other side of the field. So yeah, I guess in that regard I was good because I could kick it from my side, probably up from the goalie, our goalie. I could probably, from a goal kick, I could probably shoot it maybe 80% across the field. Not that it was accurate, but it would land somewhere on that side of the field. Yeah. So I'm gonna talk about this cooking class. When I was like 10, 11 or so, somewhere around that like lower 10ish area, it was summer and my I wanted to go to there was my mom wanted me to go to like summer fun or whatever. It wasn't summer fun, it was summer school or something. But then there was a couple choices, and then I wanted to do the cooking class. So like two or three times a week, you'd drive to this place, and I don't know if it was a non-profit or whatever, but it was paid for. And then there was maybe like 15 kids in the class and like 2 adults, and you would cook really basic things like fried rice or baked cookies and that kind of stuff. And I remember when after you're supposed to bring Tupperware, because after you finish cooking it, you put the food in your Tupperware and then you can eat it. And I guess that's just what happened. So I remember every class would cook the thing, and then would divide it evenly amongst all the kids' Tupperwares, and then everyone else would just eat their food right away. And I remember I used to always actually save it, and I didn't eat any of it. And then my dad would come pick me up and then take me home, and then I would always want to give the food to my mom first, because she was always happy and like, oh, this is really good and that kind of stuff whenever she tasted it. So I always wanted her to have the first bite, and then she would eat it and like, oh, it's good, and then she would say, okay, you go eat it and whatever. But I think that on top of this Kmart story in the last episode was what hinted towards me wanting to cook, because I think this is just like in your personality you wanted to cook, but then this is like you have a reason for why you want to cook. And the fundamental basis, I think, for me was I like seeing people be happy from something that you did, which is in that case cooking. So that's the cooking. Let me see how much time is left. 8 minutes. Okay, I got time. So Pokemon cards, I just wanted to share a very sad story. I used to have Pokemon cards, and then they got stolen in elementary school, because I left it in my bag, and then somebody like went to the bathroom or something, and then I guess rummaged through it, and it was so sad to see all of my cards just like randomly dispersed among people who were buying it from this one person, but I didn't know who it was, and very depressing. Anyways, I want to talk about being poor, because I think that's what shaped a big part of how I manage money. Is when I was young, I thought my family was poor, because I used to go to the flea market with my mom to buy t-shirts that I would use for school, and it would be like $10 for 5 or something like that, and it would have like a aloha shirt, like a dolphin with a lei on it or something. It's just a random color, but that, and like every time we go shopping, my mom's like, oh, it's too expensive, and that just little things that make you think that you're poor. And I remember the 6th grade dance. You're supposed to dress up nice and all that, and my whole elementary career I always wore shorts, and then you're supposed to wear like nice clothes, and then my nice clothes was a pair of jeans, a brand new pair of jeans, and then I wore it to school, and then the teacher kind of confronted me and said, like, you're wearing that to the dance? Kind of that made me feel very crappy, because this is like, I never wear long pants. I'm wearing long pants, and now the teacher's giving me crap about it. Anyways, so growing up, I think I always had the mentality of don't be poor, because it's very yeah. But then sometime when I was a teenager playing games or something, one day I just went to the computer, and then I woke it up, and then there was a spreadsheet on the screen, and then I looked at it, and then it was just numbers and dollar signs everywhere, and I looked at the bottom right, and I was like, that's not a small number. At that time it was, I don't remember how much it was, but it wasn't like millions or hundreds of thousands. It was probably like 80 to 200K, somewhere in that range. And yeah, when I saw that at that time, I was like, wow, 80K or 100K or 200K or something. We're not poor. We're Chinese. So another thing is, my sister grew up knowing that we had money, and I grew up thinking that we're poor, and the way we manage money is very different. She wastes a lot, and I save a lot, and I think that was like I said, the nature versus nurture thing. I think that the way you look at money is very dependent on how you grew up. So as you can see, I crossed out this part, and all my older years have a lot more interesting stories in it. This is just background. So I guess this 10-minute video was this section over here. The next episode is gonna be very juicy. I got Diablo 3. That one's a fun story. All right, see you tomorrow.